We are back. Game 3 between FunPlus Phoenix and Suning Gaming is about to begin. Both of these teams 5 and 6 in the standings. And though FPX have maintained their momentum after the Game 1 large lead that they tragically dropped at the end, they were able to come back in Game 2 and even the series up. Now the question is, does Suning play that same style that clearly did not work in that game too?
And I think the answer is no, because throughout these two games, we've seen that FPX has had the lead in terms of team fighting and just brawling out their opponents. Suning, they really need a late game component to their teams. And the funny thing is, the last game, we didn't even really feel like Tristana would be their first pick. It was kind of an accidental pick because Suning banned out every other option, but it worked for them so well, and I think that's going to continue to be the trend. You do have to have some late game AD carry, and both of these guys are perfectly willing to do it. They're good on it. We were talking about Fury. I think this guy has been one of the most underrated AD carries in the LPL. He's certainly not on the top of the likes like Uzi, but you know, he does very well in lane, is positive in lane compared to LWX, and is also able to play the team fights relatively well.
Yeah, that being said, most folks go positive in lane against LWX. He has a CS deficit on average at 15 minutes here in the LPL.
He actually has one of the largest CS deficits, but I will say it's probably due to that game against Uzi where he was down 80 CS before losing the lane.
That was a bit of a tragedy. But still, he has the opportunity to go up against the likes of Fury in this matchup. We've seen what happens when the shotgun is able to get up close, when LWX is able to load up a few rounds into his barrel and fire across the bow of Suning Gaming. They were not prepared. We were not prepared.
Definitely.
Now we know that this can happen, that we can see LWX pop off if he's able to get himself set up. In Game 1, he really didn't quite find an opportunity to because Xiao Al was hunting him down so frequently. So now with Suning, with that side selection priority, we'll see if they again prioritize the blue side and hand over that red side last pick for Gimgyu.
And the other point I really want to mention is how I feel like the junglers have been favoring Pepper so far. 8.4, we predicted that junglers that like to brawl, like to duel with the other jungler, are going to get an upper hand. And so far, I feel like Pepper does fit this model very well.
Certainly been doing a great job. That game, too, Pepper was on fire. He was picking up kills all over the place, pretty successfully invading, and just trying to make sure that Olaf felt unsafe as much as he could before he turned into the late game monster truck that raced people down.
Yeah, you do pick the Olaf because in the early game, you can easily walk down the enemy jungler, but in that game, Hacker had no chance. He really didn't go into the enemy jungle at all, and that gave a lot of pressure for FPX.
It absolutely did. We are now in Game 3 on this patch 8.4. Already, you can see some change-ups. Suning, with side selection, chose red side for themselves. So they're saving counterpick for something because they're now giving up priority. FPX, well aware of this, still ban away the Camille, and again follow it up with an Olaf and an Azir.
So what I think Suning should do is they should try to get a counterpick early for Knight. Now, we've seen a lot of quirky third picks from SNG's composition, and that works very well, and that leaves them another counterpick later on into the draft. Don't hold on too late for Knight's counterpick, because the enemy team can then ban away options from you.
And look at that. Tahm Kench locked in for Crisp. If ever there was a champion that synergizes with a player, it's this one, because Crisp will leap in on Tristana, and Crisp can now simply walk forward, devour him, and carry him to the back of the team fight, where he should be.
Yes, Crisp getting our top 5 players accolades on that support position. #1 in kill participation, facilitates a lot of the early game action happening from FPX, and most importantly, keeps LWX in check.
Absolutely. Again, now we have the Freljordian duo, Sejuani and Braum, locked in. Sejuani, a huge jungler, pretty much everywhere in the world. And Braum, still a great pick for Yoon here. Now, Caitlyn is immediately locked in for LWX. So FPX seems like they've learned their lesson. They're prioritizing the bottom lane.
The problem here is that they have to show one of their solo laners or their jungler decides to go with a Sion, which really doesn't have many counters. I would say Gimgyu handled the lane very well against Kled last time. He basically won outside of walking into tower, but, you know, that happens.
Everybody makes mistakes, even professional players sometimes. And now we'll see. Are we going to get the mid lane burst pick?
Yeah, this is the smart thing about FPX. They hold on to their mid laner and deny the counter pick coming from Suning. They're telling Suning, if you want a counter pick, it's only going to be
from
in
a
one
limited
position.
Pool. Yeah. So Varus is the answer now for Fury instead. Suning prioritized their bottom lane once again, and now it's Suning's chance to also try to play into this. Now Bing, from what we've seen here coming into the LPL, seems to have a slightly less effective champion pool than the likes of Knight, who loves roaming mid laners. So FPX get to pick and choose which mid laners they want to remove from Knight at the cost of their own champion pool.
Yeah, what Suning are setting up here is basically they're going for a Taliyah pick, and then they're going to give Knight the counter pick, and he has a ton of counter picks going into Taliyah. He has the Caston, the LeBlanc, and also the Corki. So the question is, what does Bing really have? Because if he goes into the most standard pick, I don't think he's going to come out of the lane very well.
Especially playing against the likes of Knight. There's the Taliyah ban.
So they don't want to pick it themselves. That's what it's signaling, and they're just saying, okay, I don't want you to have it either.
See if Suning decide to put the onus onto Xiao Al here or onto Knight, saving that counter pick. They know there's the Scion here. Unless Bing has been practicing that in the mid lane, we expect it to go top to Gimgoon, especially considering his performance in the previous game. Ooh,
this
Vladimir.
Could be a flex.
Yeah, still Suning. They don't quite show their hand.
For FPX, the traditional answer would be Orianna here. But are they considering the Scion mid?
They might be thinking about it. The clock is still stocked and ready.
Okay, maybe not.
Yeah, Skarner now going to be the hover for Pepper. They could just be waiting out the clock here, trying to play on Suning's idea of what to expect. Skarner is now going to be locked in for Pepper, but we'll see what this is going to be. FPX trying to play the mind games. This is where we're going to find out. Where does this Scion go?
We have seen a lot more Vlads into the mid lane. It does fit the map better that you do build Eye of the Watcher. Oh, and this guy, what? Victor.
Victor, yeah, now locked in. So that's Victor in the mid lane. And now we get to see Suning can use that Vladimir as a flex.
So Victor was buffed quite a bit. He now gets about 90 extra shield. Super late game on his Q, and he does get more mana from the items. But Suning picking up Cassiopeia, the pick they should have done in game 2.
Locked into the mid lane for Knight. Huge champion for him. You might look at the Cassiopeia and think, it's not a roaming champion. Knight can't play that. Turns out he can.
To play it in a roam?
Yeah, exactly. Well, we'll see how it actually works out in this matchup, as we're going to see the Vladimir top into Gimgoon, Sejuani into the likes of Skarner, Cassiopeia into Victor. I'm looking at these compositions. I honestly don't see a clear winner on either side.
I think Suning's comp is harder to execute. If you look at their carries, they have shorter range on both the Cassiopeia and the Varus right there. So if they're going to successfully teamfight, a lot of it is going to come down to Hacker locking down the correct targets so they can engage. If it's just a front-to-front in the normal sense, where you have Skarner and Cyan as a front line, and then Victor and Caitlyn are able to basically attack your backline without committing, then it's going to be a loss for Suning. I think their composition is just harder to execute. They need more things in the laning phase.
And this is where we look at the likes of Suning as a team that needs to mature a little bit more. They've got excellent players. They make good decisions, but sometimes that inexperience drags them down. Perhaps this draft could be an example of that, or they could entirely prove us wrong and show, hey, we know how to play this composition. We might have shorter range, but we're actually capable of playing it out in such a manner.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, FPX on the other side, like you said, they've got the way set out for them. They outrange by just that little bit more. And with that window, they can try to pull Suning around the map and pull open the game 3.
It's very interesting comps coming from FPX, and also our first victor of the split so far. It's considered a very weak champion, but the recent buffs to his Q and the mana items, we have seen him resurfacing in other major leagues as well. The problem with this matchup is Cassio doesn't really get much chance onto the Victor once he gets those first upgrades with the Death Ray. If he can clear the backline, then he doesn't really need to walk forward to the Cassiopeia.
perhaps the Suning fans maybe losing a little bit of faith as they lose volume and a few members for some of those chants, but still they have to hold the fort, hold down their ground against FPX in this Game 3 as LWX here in the LPL for his 100th game on this Game 3 against Fury.
It's a relatively new player, actually.
What better way for him to celebrate it than with a series win over his tied opponents, the playoff gatekeepers? Can FPX prove that they are better than Suning here and now? We're going to find out in this game as we've got...
Ooh, level 1 cheese.
Yeah, Crisp and LWX stepping forward. Yoon is the target. 1, 2, 3 stacks, but a good stun prevents another stack of the acquired taste. Crisp still chasing forward as the piercing arrow chunks down Tom Kench, who's happy to regenerate the health back up with his Targons.
Yeah, very favorable trade right there from FPX. They are starting on the top side, so basically why not do this level 1?
Fleet footwork out of Bing.
Huh.
That's interesting.
So you rarely see mid laners go into that. The only exception is Corki, because a lot of Fleet Footwork's power is in the ability to crit. And if you can't crit, then you know you just lose a lot of utility off of it.
So what we just saw was he walked forward, he autoed a minion, and then he used that window to Q Knight. But Knight is just happy to trade it right back as he takes over to level 2 with the Airy for damage, already trying to burn through the sustain that Bing has been going. And he's even gone for the Eye of the Watchers build path.
Yeah, the Spell Thief's early to get that going.
So
Cassiopeia should be favored in the laning phase early, and you're seeing Hacker roam into the river because of this. He's actually going to get pincered.
Literally in this situation as Pepper gets some good damage. He eats an auto attack. Knight looking to get there. Stun will be procced, but Crisp is up there first. A quick flash devour onto Crisp, and he carries him back in to scare away Knight. The early laning pressure from LWX and Crisp saves the life of their jungler.
Oh, this is an interesting build path. So seeing Presence of Mind just for the extra wave clear, and also Tenacity. That's rarely seen.
Yeah.
It's not even seen on tanks. But mid laner is going Tenacity. Okay.
Perhaps going to be needing that extra tenacity against Sejuani, Varus, Braum, and Cassiopeia. Not to mention the fact that he's Victor. Perhaps this could be indicative of the fact that he's not going for tank Victor. Could be looking for high damage instead. We were joking about it last game.
Yeah.
The massive damage that Victor can get with the likes of a Rabadon.
So basically what this Victor is telling me is that he's going to go in on the enemy quite frequently. You don't really get the Fleet Footwork unless you auto-attack.
Oh, they know there's no flash on Crisp. Heal is still ready. They're trying to chase it down. That's an auto. Hail of arrows, but there's a teleport coming in from behind. Gimgoon is set to try to get in there. There's nothing Vlad can do.
Gets slow.
Yeah, another flash knock up.
Full
Fury
Q.
goes low and goes down. First blood, LWX.
Oh, such a smart play from Gimgoon, reading the situation perfectly.
Oh, Knight with the styling solo kill in the mid lane.
I love the geometry of that play. He didn't flash forward directly because he was afraid he was going to hit tower, but flashed to the side and was still in range to finish with the last E. That was a beautiful play there from Knight.
And with that, we're now 1-1 in kills. We can see that once again. The laser gets traded up. Knight simply drops the miasma, chases it down.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, that flash was beautiful. Knew his distances very well.
And now that's a very early tier null magic mantle. Meanwhile, Bing, you can see going for sustain. Still the refillable boots, and now a dark seal for even more. As FPX, you can see they've got the second highest first blood rate in the LPL. They've also got the second highest first dragon rate with their jungle percentage and their kills per minute, lagging behind some of the higher tier teams.
Yeah, kill per minute's still very, very hard.
Yeah.
They are a team that's very bloodthirsty, but what these stats show me is that Pepper is still a very influential jungler in the early game, especially the dragon stats. We've seen this series as well. He's been always on those dragons once the timer pops. Never wants to lose any of them. What FPX really just need to clean up is their recovery ability. They are a team that tilts pretty heavily, and also their late game shot calling, which is pretty much the same for all new teams in the LPL.
Now, this is the test. Suning are the team that will challenge that ability. As Knight, again, look at this damage. He is absolutely bullying Bing out and forces his flash without one of his own. Ticks over to a quick level 6.
Yeah, I just don't like the extra attack speed on Victor. It doesn't feel like it's worth much.
There's a quick stun. Piltover Peacemaker blocked by the Unbreakable. As Crisp tries to heal himself back up, still constant harass and trading back and forth in that bottom lane. Hacker heads towards the mid lane as Xiao Al struggles to keep pace with Gimgoon, who easily pushes the weight and trades back with that Vladimir.
Off the Gimgoon play in the bot lane, we're seeing FPX gain more control here as well. Now, this isn't typical for this matchup. The Varus should be leading and being able to push here.
Even getting the auto attack in. Glacial Augment just doing so much for Xiao Al as he is trying to keep himself even in this lane. Doing a great job with the CS, but Gimgoon is relentless. Level 6, that's Hemoplague even being used. Hacker looking to roam mid. Only level 5, gets the flash. Knight is there. That's a good zone. And it's still a successful kill onto Suning. Hacker goes low, but survives.
Gets away with the bone plating. Very well done right there. They wanted to sync up the CC, but very good for Bing. He was actually facing backwards, so Knight couldn't instantly go in.
Oh, and a quick flash pulls Fury forward. He goes for the minion wave, knowing there's nothing he can do to get the kill. But that's Pepper, again, showing that decisiveness in lane ganks.
Yeah, I really like this these moves from Pepper. If you look at the map right now, this is something in 8.4 you're going to notice a lot more. There are no early wards in the enemy jungle, so it's much harder to tell where the enemy is, and you're going to see a lot more lane ganks because of it.
And already we can see some chip damage going on to the bottom tier 1. Xiao Al even giving up a bit of chip damage on top as he tries to trade back with Gimgoon, but LWX in his 100th game in the LPL is 20 CS ahead, 7.5 minutes in. It's like he's almost in this single game trying to make up the CS difference of all of those other matches.
That Uzi game never happened.
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't see it.
Hacker level 6, steps forward, lands the bola, still no flash. And the Chaos Storm is going to get a stun for even a bit more damage onto Hacker, but still 0-3. Suning know exactly who they're playing through, and FPX do the same.
Yeah, and I wonder when's the next time we're going to see Victor again, because it's not been a very good debut for him.
Yeah.
It's not really been about the pick. It's just, it seems like a convoluted build that Bing is running, and it hasn't been able to outwave clear the Cassiopeia. Cassiopeia, even with the extra 200 gold added on to Lost Chapter, is able to pick it up very easily.
1,100 gold now. Still happy with that. They're even stealing away the blue buff because there's no one to give it to, as Bing is just now making his way out of base. Are they even going to hand it over to Knight? He's making his way over there. Oh, no, he just shows up just in case there were a fight. Hacker secures it, his own blue ready on the other side of the map, but poor Bing, still sitting on the exact same items. 35 CS down, 9 minutes in. That is a really tragic place to be in this game 3. LWX is trying to make up for it, though, just constantly pushing bottom. If he could break this turret, it's only at 180 health. That would unlock the bottom lane to go mid and put Bing someplace safe.
Yeah, it's a very different scenario in this game compared to game 2. If they unlock this lane, the main thing is that Crisp is going to be allowed to gank. But as for wave clear, it's kind of fine for Suning.
Meanwhile, the bottom tier 1 finally is taken. 500 gold advantage for FPX as a result of that first brick. And LWX is, I would say, springboarding towards the late game, but vaulting, I think, is a more appropriate term, as he gets BF Sword, Zeal, and Berserker Greaves, and a Cull at 9 minutes in. Ooh. This dude wants to be 6 items, and he wants it now.
Yeah, I want to see the gold difference between these two lanes, because there is a chance that Caitlyn might finish both of those items before Fury gets his hands on one.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Knight with the new tier is stacking it up quite happily in the mid lane. You can see Bing is playing so far back without his cleanse. He's got a single control ward in front of the Raptor camp to try to keep him safe, but no vision of either side of the river. Meanwhile, FPX with their lane swap decide to head towards the top side. Xiao Al suddenly going to be eating a whole lot of hurt as Hacker and the bottom lane from Suning are set to match it.
SNG have to match right here. Vladimir has no damage to really push off FPX, so they need this lane to go well.
Knight again flashes forward, another solo kill. Okay.
So brutal.
That is, ooh. This is the kind of game where you open up chat and say, guys, I'm trying my hardest. I'm hugging my turret. I'm using my summoner spells. Oh, boy.
This is the time when you ask, can I just give up the mid tower, please?
Please.
He's pulling me so
I'll hug the tier 2.
Why didn't you pick Cassiopeia game 2?
Oh, man. 2 to 4. And almost 4 of those kills have been in the mid lane. Now, FPX, they're going to take this Ocean Dragon, still showing that first dragon percentage and that neutral objective control that we expect from them.
My question is, how does Cassiopeia as a pick really change with that much gold into her? Because she's still not a split pushing champion, and she's still heading mid. There's nowhere she's really going to go.
Oh, that's Predator trying to back away. Miasma and the knock-up. There's no flash available because he used it to get a kill earlier. 4 members of FPX make him pay. And now Knight from the graveyard is going to watch as FPX are set to siege this mid-tier 1. But no, they decide to back off instead and respect the missing Fury and Yoon.
Mission saving Private Bing.
Exactly.
Trying to get him on the board with that assist. That does reset the bounty for him, though.
Oh,
so
no!
I wonder if he's still going to go down mid, or are they just going to try to control the vision so that Knight might have second thoughts going in on him?
I mean, we're certainly going to find out. He's trying to hold on to the mid lane for now, as Knight, like you mentioned, with that much gold, makes his way back towards the mid lane. Happy to go back into this very clearly favorable matchup for himself. As our top laners hang out on the bottom half, teleport ready for both of them. As a result of that play, Xiao was able to get just a few more CS, a little bit more experience, but that Eye of the Watcher is not opened just yet, so we can't quite be placing down too many wards.
It's been really cool about the jungle vision that each team has been getting. It's really been a collaborative effort. You only have 2 wards from your jungle, and that's from the yellow trinket. Lasts a lot shorter. And then your side lanes have to come in.
LWX steps forward, but the Trust Fall onto a Devour just resets the play. Good stun still lands, but Knight is still fighting up in the mid lane. That's the Chaos Storm. Has he got the outplay? There's the cleanse. Finally, he gets back out of this as Knight is chunked low. Teleport used by Gimgoon to get in. Another teleport to match as Xiao cancels to escort Knight back to his turret.
Yeah, that was just to prevent Gimgoon from using his ultimate right there. So good protect.
But that's the trade-off, though. Now both teleports are split. Pepper races in with the Predator to heal and flash to get back. Leaves Yoon all by himself. He's got his own flash. Tries to get out of this, and they manage to kill Crisp as he's gone too far.
Okay, so FPX mishandling the execution a little bit. I like the idea of the combo a lot, though. Pepper dragging someone onto a trap. That's such a long CC duration. If you think about Impale and then the E, that's 3.5 seconds already, and then you put in 1.5 in the trap. How much is that? That's 5 seconds of crowd control. So that's good idea, bad execution.
Very dangerous place to be. Pepper, good guy jungler, gives over the blue buff. Xiao trading with Gimgoon and having a very tough time. As Knight set to follow up and help clear him away. The Miasma, but an unstoppable force charges by.
Goes
He's
across.
Shouted out and slowed. Flash to follow up. The knock-up is turned only into a slow. Gravity Field and Knight is still kiting it out. He might be able to get out of this, but finally goes down. Xiao flashes the wall and Hemoplagues in order to make it back to his turret. But there are 5 members of FPX in the mid lane.
Yeah, that's the problem for Suning. Even though they got a very favorable mid lane, it's kind of hard to convert that winning lane into other things. They didn't get jungle control, just 2 ganks back in, and then like Bing's fine. If you look what FPX got out of their bot lane in comparison, it's such a better trade. So I think Suning didn't really think through how they were going to utilize Knight.
Oh, bit of a trade going on in the mid lane as Fury and Yoon trade it back. And you're exactly right, Clement. This is where we look at Suning and again comment on their inexperience as a team, because this isn't solo queue. One person isn't just going to single-handedly win the game on this stage for the team. They have to play as a team. They have to be prepared for when the Caitlyn collapses, for when the Sion collapses, when 5 members show up mid to punish that Cassiopeia. And as it was, they were not. FPX find that 1 kill and get some damage on the mid-tier 1.
Oh, they're finally placing Knight into a side lane, trying a different approach to the laning phase. I like this idea a bit better. I think she can defend 1v2 quite easily against LWX and Crisp.
and Hackers stepping forward. There are 4 members of Suning here. The Bola is flashed, and LWX just walks it back. But now Suning are the ones who are making an active play on the map. They're trying to take down the turret, but they only have 2 minions. Still, though, they're able to get a healthy amount of damage and will break it down, but look at the trade-off. Bing is pushing mid, and Gimgoon is pushing bottom.
And this is a great overload for Suning because they're able to defend their mid lane turret at the same time. Maybe not. Even better play from FPX coming. Just with the Abyssal Voice, no summoner is even used here.
Pepper steps forward with that Predator to scare Xiao Al back, and it is a turret-for-turret trade, but Suning finally on the board in turrets.
Well, that was what Suning was trying to do, but FPX was one step ahead of me and the enemy team.
Just like that, FPX continued to hold on to the advantage that you were talking about. And you know what, Clement? You might just have been right. Static Shiv is now finished for LWX, and he's getting really close to finishing off that Infinity Edge, and still no finished item from Fury.
And look at Fury's build. It's such an interesting way. He's actually going for the IE instead of the usual Ginsu's Rage Blade. I think it's just because he knows he's not doing anything mid-game. Like, getting that Ginsu's, you're not going to use that power spike effectively. You might as well go later in the build.
That said, he's going to have to do something here, as now this next Infernal Dragon is spawning, the first of the game. 5 members stacked up for both sides as Xiao Al is making his way out of base with the completed Liandry's Torment. And take a look at Knight's second item, the QSS. That's what happens when Cassiopeia gets a bunch of kills. She goes defensive to keep herself safe. But that said, Suning have got the better position on the Dragon. They're going to start it off. Here comes Suning. Do they feel ready enough to fight this?
This is a must-win for Suning Gaming. FPX do have the better late-game composition here.
Xiao Al is behind the pit. He's got flash as Dragon resets. Good headshot onto Hacker, but he's nice and tanky. Xiao Al trying to come in from behind, but he has been spotted. The Dragon goes low, and it's picked up by Pekmer. Knock up in the front. They've caught Bing. He's saved by Crisp. LWX steps forward and is slowed. Eats the Winter's Bite, but 90 caliber. Xiao Al goes in, and they get the kill onto LWX. That's a lot of gold now gone. Crisp is dead, and Suning with the target selection find the kills they need, dive under the turret to further punish Bing. Chaos Storm and Gravity Field keep Hacker low, but there is no chance. There is no escape. Gimgoon, never mind. He's able to break out of the CC, runs the wrong way, but will be able to drift back to safety.
I think he's going to be able to get out. Can he get out?
Completing the recall right now. Knight is trying to catch up to him with the Noxious Blast, but sneaks right on by.
Goes out in style. That's great from Gimgoon right there. But my question there was, where was the Chaos Storm from Bing?
Saved it, apparently.
He saved it for the tower dive? That could have been very useful in terms of like interruption and skills and channels and stuff.
Let's take a look at that fight from the beginning.
So he did have the Chaos Storm, just didn't use it. Oh, he's in the belly of Crisp. Step back for it. This was a really good disengage from FPX, but then an even better Xiao Al flash over the gravity field.
And the follow-up chase from Suning. Just committing to dive. Hacker, no hesitation, flashes under the turret.
I have to say, this is still very poor play from Bing. You should never hold on to your Chaos Storm for that long. You had the choke advantage. You could just hold that on and disengage with the Infernal Drake. So that speaks to, a bit of messy shot calling from FPX. They definitely could have gotten away from that better.
That said, he hasn't exactly had the smoothest of games so far. 1-5-1. Still only 30 CS behind, but getting solo killed not once, not twice, but 3 times in lane. And then ganked another 2 times.
Yeah. So it's not all on him.
Of course.
We said 8.4 is a paradise for ganking junglers. There is no wards from the enemy jungler, so Sejuani does very well in those middle ganks. That's 2 of his deaths right there.
Mm-hmm.
The others were just, past the fact. They were too late to be prevented.
That said, Suning aren't able to take the Infernal Dragon. So though the bottom tier 1 is broken, mid is still held. And FPX have got a 2-dragon advantage, so still, despite losing the fight and giving over about 1,000 gold advantage to Suning, they've got time. If they go towards the late game Elder Dragon, which they've already done in this series, they've got insurance.
Yeah, and we do have to talk about the the insurance policy from the itemization by Fury as well. Like, I feel like this is a very smart build. Knew that he lost out the lane and is going for something that will allow his team to win in the late game. Still, Suning's composition is very hard to execute in a 5v5, like, just normal scenario, because Cassiopeia's ultimate works a lot less when you're running into the enemy team. Yeah, so they're going to have to continue to be ahead for 5v5s to really work.
So far, Knight has done a great job on this Cassiopeia. I'm certain that he has mastered the ability to do the flash animation cancel petrifying gaze, which tragically not quite done any justice yet, as he's just playing it nice and standard against the likes of Bing. Still, Suning moving as a collective unit. Xiao Ao with teleport, nearly flash, trying to siege up in the mid lane, but Static Shiv and a Victor mean there is no chance that a single minion is ever going to touch that turret while the two carries are sitting in mid lane.
I want to see how Suning deal with the empowered minion in the bot lane. We've just seen Gimgoon drop a banner of command, and as we know, that means magic immunity. Vladimir only has his auto attacks.
A lot of auto attacks.
Yeah, you can actually use this 2-minute window quite efficiently.
He's still just auto-attacking as wildly as he can. It looks like it was actually just cleared for the time being, as the banner is now coming up.
He still has minion dematerializer held onto it for the late game.
Still sitting on the charges. That's it.
There you go. I was like, how did he get the wave pushed?
And immediately it's reused by Gimgoon.
So we do see this a lot. A lot of times you're going into this matchup, AP top laners will hold on to their minion dematerializers just for the late game.
There he goes. Uses it once again to clear out the banner minion. The Bannon minion, potentially, now that...
Well, that doesn't have Baron, so it's just a normal empowered, like Bannon
At this
is
point,
for.
it could be, though, because now there are no more minion dematerializers on Suning.
Ooh, tough spot.
You're absolutely right, it is. And now Suning going to find themselves backing away just a bit around this Baron, making sure they've still got vision.
Suning Gaming, they don't really have a good front line at this point. If you look at the items from LWX, he's way ahead of the curve. I don't really see Hacker surviving an engage. So I actually think Suning are relegated to playing like... I'm not sure they can really engage on the enemy team at this point.
It's going to have to take a big outplay if they manage to find the opportunity to make that happen.
If they do, it has to be like the last Dragon fight where they instantly picked out Bing. If it's on one of the front lines, I don't think they have a good chance.
That said, they managed to find the timer mid, getting the recall of LWX, Bing, and a side lane. And the mid-tier 1 is broken down. Xiao Al on the side is enough to zone them back as Gimgoon waiting for that banner cooldown. Is he going to walk back to the minion wave and try to time it? Yeah, it seems like he is. That is such a pain for Xiao Ao to deal with. He got by scot-free for the first few waves, but now this is going to be so painful. Actually, he leaves before dropping it this time, heading towards the mid lane.
And who is really going to clear that? Like, I don't think Sejuani is going to have a good time with it either. Is it going to have to be Fury to go down there? That's hilarious. I think one of these items are going to be changed. Like, it's a cost-efficient item on its own, and then you just win against all AP matchups.
Yeah. You're exactly right. There he goes, using it at the next minion wave. That feel when your eyes are riveted to the items and not to the actual play on screen because you want to see the banner usage.
It's the reason why nothing is happening on screen, because the side lanes are always occupied. There's no grouping up.
Yeah. But now the banner minion, is becoming a very large minion wave. Already you can see the ping out of Xiao Ao. Bing pushes up top. You've got a recall resetting for Crisp in the mid lane. Here's the opportunity. Xiao Ao is locked down. He's got teleport. He's going to try to deal with it now. Deal
Fury,
with the banner
I
minion,
need
not
you.
teleport. Yeah.
Fury, come down here.
Yeah.
Oh, and Fury actually walks down to the bot lane.
Okay, he turns it around. No, it's okay. I can auto it. I can hold it.
Oh, this is hilarious. I'm not sure this item should do this much.
Still struggling. There he goes. Finally gets it. Oh, man. And even to add insult to injury, the fact that it adds to Gimgoon's CS count for every minion that it kills. So if Xiao Ao lets the wave tank the banner minion, then Gimgoon is still technically pushing the wave and he gets the gold.
Yeah, it's kind of like absentee voting. Get everything you
really
want from far away.
Yeah. Now we do have Suning grouping up around the Baron buff. They've managed to control vision as Xiao Ao pushes the wave up. There's a brief window now that the banner minion is dead and Banner of Command is on cooldown. But Xiao Ao, actually swaps his teleport away for a ghost and starts racing down the mid lane. He might be trying to play the timer here and using this strategy against FPX.
He's sick of banners. He wants to fight now. He wants to do it before the cooldown comes back up again.
I think it might be the next wave that spawns another cannon minion. Gimgoon's already in position. He is ready. You can see Xiao Ao in the jungle.
He can
I
actually
don't want
take
to.
Smite, though.
Oh, yeah, you're absolutely right. He could with Unsealed Spellbook. There we go. We got it. That's the counterplay. That's what the developers were thinking of all that time ago.
Sounds like so much work, though. Like, does it have to work that way?
There we go. Banner now used in the bottom lane. 5 members of Suning all grouped up around the Baron. They're on top of the vision of this Scuttle Crab. As LWX steps forward, look at the damage!
Half HP.
He has nobody there to save him, and he chunks Knight out aggressively.
Yeah, this is such a bad composition for Cassiopeia. You have a Scion that's going to be running into you. You can't slow him, and also you don't have the range advantage for your backline. So how's the Cassio really supposed to play the team fights? I feel like Suning, they need FPX walking into them to really win a fight.
Well, so far FPX have been allowing that banner minion to do most of the walking. As it's pushing up bottom, finally Xiao Ao is headed back down towards that side of the map. FPX, conscious of Suning's attempt to make a play around the Baron buff, simply hold their ground and not fall into the trap that Suning had set for them. And now they see the ping onto it. Taking a look at the gold, 11,000 for Xiao Ao. Gimgoon, about 1,400 behind in the mid lane. There's another 1,600 gold advantage for Knight.
He's just leaving the wave be.
He just clears out the banner minion and turns around.
They actually ping him. They question mark him.
Wait,
Dude,
why is he here?
Are you giving up the wave? Oh, they're going for the fight.
There's the Chains of Corruption. They've managed to tag onto Crisp. Look at the damage. They're burning him down. They get him. Meanwhile, Xiao Ao chases LWX. He's got Flash, and he's trying to get out of this, trying to make it over the wall. He's continuing to hold his ground. Xiao Ao with an early Zhonya stalls it out. Gimgoon buying time as the tank, and they manage to get the kill with Bing. Still, LWX has no one to peel for him as the rest of the fight has been won. And Suning are set to take the ace here over FPX. Piercing Arrow, not going to be enough. A cleanse, but another stun is stacked and ready. And that's it, the ace for Suning.
We said that Hacker had to show up big for Suning's composition to work, and he did. He caught out the only person that could prevent CC. Kills Chris before he can use his gray health in the CC duration, and then they instantly clean up the fight from there. It's so well done, and probably the only way they could have gotten that to work.
The confidence play from Suning as they turn onto the Baron, taking it down 29 minutes in. This time they don't have to steal it, as they earned it.
And I just like FPX's reaction. They were just like peeing question mark, and suddenly the engage comes in, and they're like, oh, that's what they were trying to do.
Yeah. Suddenly it all makes sense. The chase down, Xiao Ao zoning LWX Bing, trying to get in from the side, but Suning are just a Protoss death ball, ganging up and tearing people apart one by one.
Yeah, and Bing didn't really have an angle into the fight at all. Hacker through the wall, gets onto LWX once more. Great game from him. This is his most played champion, and he's showing so much proficiency.
Absolutely. And now 30 minutes in, suddenly that banner minion is less of a threat, even though there are 2 banner of commands on FPX. Suning have one of their own, and here it goes. The Bannon fires onto Bing first, and then, shoots onto the turret. Shot after shot, and they can't reach it. Oh no, no rapid fire cannon for LWX just yet. And look at that, even setting up the wall in front. There's nothing they can do, and single-handedly, it breaks down the turret without losing a drop of health.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that's just hilarious to watch. It's so painful for the enemy team. But remember, this is how the game is supposed to be played.
Absolutely right. They're trying to get in range, but it's still breaking apart the inhib turret so quickly. It turns to fire one distracting shot at a cannon, but turns and finishes off the turret. There is nothing they can do to stop this. It can't be stopped by traps. Suning just set the Braum up in front of it. FPX are losing the game to a single banner cannon minion.
Oh, wow. I'm sorry. I was laughing the whole way through. It's basically just one cannon minion, and you see 5 people just staring at that minion and like, wait a minute, we're losing to an NPC-controlled minion. It's taking 2 towers and an inhibitor.
Oh, man. Continuing, they push forward, not wasting any time at all as the next wave crashes in. This wave can be cleared out, though. It does take reduced damage. Pepper feigns an engage, but turns it right back around, and with that static shiv, with that death laser, Bing and LWX clear out the minion wave and keep their second inhib still standing.
Yep, so in terms of the timings, you can get, theoretically, you can get 2 banner minions, Banon minions, I should say, in one rotation of Baron. So I guess 8.4 is really about how you use those 2 waves, like how much you can get out of those 2 waves.
Mm-hmm. This time, it's only going to be used to take down the bottom tier 2 and break all the way to the middle inhibitor. Gimgoon sitting inside of the brush, playing with fire, but doesn't get himself caught out. A headshot onto Knight. Holy cow. All right, Suning, now they're playing with the double Banon minion, but Knight has been chunked out so much. Luckily, they did just pick up a single Ocean Dragon. With traps set up, it's all up to the Banon. 20 seconds. Is it enough? Gimgoon is using himself as a health. And look at that, the long-range devour. Tom Kench. Little known interaction with the tongue lash. You can immediately devour afterwards to consume the minion and pull it in.
Am I watching League of Legends? Because this what seems like payload to me. It's kind of like a TF2 scenario where everyone's just trying to like take down the neutral objective.
Yeah, just trying to bring it in.
That was so creative. That was really well played from FPX. To push out the defensive line early, make sure the Banon minions is hitting themselves instead of the tower, and that just don't lick him.
Yeah, and then as the timer runs out, put it under the turret so that it dies to the actual turret auto attacks there. Knight picking up another blue buff here. As Suning, the red team, trying to get themselves back onto the map.
Like, makes me think about like what else is there that we aren't noticing in the game that should be there. You know, it's a small bug fix that changed the entire game.
Oh no,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
the bug
I
fix.
mean, yeah, for the like the Banon.
Yeah.
It's like, it really makes you wonder on a philosophical level, like, what are you missing in life?
What isn't?
Yeah, it's like the barista could be the love of your life, you know, you just don't know.
This got really philosophical really fast. Clement, do we need to have a talk?
No, it's fine, it's fine.
Okay. I just want to make sure we're all good. So I guess then, in that case, what are Suning missing?
In life?
Not in life, but in this game.
But in this game?
Right here, within the scope of this game. You mentioned the fact that they're short range,
yeah.
but they were looking for engage. When they found it, they were able to take a fight that allowed them to break the inhib.
The
is
difficulty,
it just looking for that next fight?
It is, because I don't think they're going to win a siege. They don't really have a siege composition unless they have the Banons. So pretty much the game plan for them is try to bait out a fight in this Elder Drake, have FPX walk into them, and then they can use the Cassio ultimate to good effect. Then they can get some CC off. But if they don't get that, they're going to have to rely on another hero play from Hacker. Getting that Sejuani ultimate on Chris was very, very difficult. He was pretty much the only person you could ult, and they made it work in one scenario. Do they really have what it takes to make it work again?
I mean, take a look at what they're doing right now. They're pushing up mid lane, but that isn't their goal. Baron is up in 90 seconds. They've got a wave pushing bottom. They've got a wave pushing top. They could be setting their eyes on that tier 2, but the timing is just a little bit off between the minion wave catching up. There goes the banner onto a cannon minion, but without Baron, it's much easier for LWX and the likes of FPX to clear it. And that's exactly what we see right here, just slightly missing the timing.
Yeah, but to be fair, FPX have already found the correct answer to this type of situation. And Suning, it does look like that they just have to wait in a brush somewhere and hope FPX walks into it. They don't really have a win condition right now.
Well, now 50 seconds until that Baron is back up. They're making their way back onto the map. Rabadon's Death Cap, level 17 Cassiopeia, plus the Laundries and a QSS. And good guy mid laner doesn't buy an amp tome. with his extra gold, he buys wards for his team. Respects the fact that his jungler doesn't ward anymore.
Well, I do think that most mid laners would do that.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is their win condition. This is their brush of choice.
Fury's not in the brush right now.
They found their brush. They're going to sit into it. They're saying, this is our brush.
Oh, they're over
do they get it?
They've managed to tag onto it, but that's the Devour. They don't find Crisp. Xiao Al from behind gets pulled in with the Impale. That's the Zhonya's. He's trying to get himself some health back as Suning continue to take the fight. He drops into the pool and tries to kite it out. LWX is not able to kill him. Nobody dies.
That was so close. They almost got it on Crisp. If they got it on Crisp, they would have just won right there.
Able to save the target who was caught. I couldn't even see who it was in the chaos.
Yeah, it was Hacker that used his face to tank the ultimate and save his team. So really well played right there.
Look at that. Gimgoon heads back to base and immediately shows right back up at full health. Now, Suning, they threw everything in the kitchen sink to try to kill FPX, and they're healing back up.
Behind.
Fury is racing out of base as fast as his little legs can take him. A great body slam to try to prevent Gimgoon from getting in as Knight is dodging and weaving on the side, bobbing and weaving even.
He doesn't
as a
have
gravity
his
field
ult.
prevents them from getting in. Now Fury has finally joined up, and the line is reset, a literal line in the sand.
What's really interesting, what Suning can do is push up the mid wave and try to cut them out, isolate FPX on that side of the map, and then go for their next move. So we see Hacker already has the mid lane pushed out, and it's going to allow them more chances to then rotate to the left side of the map.
That said, that's what we see from Suning. They're heading straight down towards that inhibitor. As Peacemaker from LWX secures that large wolf, they bait it right back around. Look at where Fury is right now. He's at the red buff alone.
Oh, this is pretty dangerous.
It certainly is.
If he was
Very
spotted
far
by
from
a
his team.
ward, SNG would be immediately engaged
That's
upon.
what we see. Pepper actually managed to spot him at a ward at the Raptor camp. He tags onto the first target that he can catch. It's Yoon who gets caught down. The bola from Hacker does nothing.
That's just a bad play from Fury, to be honest.
And now they turn onto the Baron. This could be FPX's opportunity. 5 versus 4 and a banner minion wave pushing the bottom lane. Hacker, he's got Flash, he's got Smite. Level 15 to level 15. Can he steal this and keep Suning in the game? Look at the zone control. No, FPX, they want the fight. They step forward. Pepper backs it up. Fury does damage. Xiao Al goes in with Knight and gets the first kill. He's healing himself up. Bing on the side tries to kite it out, but the Zhonya's, he steps it right back. 4 versus 4, but no jungler for FPX.
That crit coming out from Fury and Baron actually killing Pepper. So they managed to defend 4v5, but their base is on fire.
Yeah, they're losing their base. Massive minion waves. There's only so much that Yoon can do, and he's choosing to ignore the base and try to group up with his team. Hacker is just being free-fired upon. He's at such low health, he could very well go down here. 2,500 health as Gimgoon tries to finish it off. Xiao Al does what he can. Here comes Frisky, gets in, but he does get the smite. Baron picked up by Suning. Knight follows up with another kill for Fury, and SNG Suning win the fight and win the Baron, but they might just be losing their base because of it.
It doesn't even matter. They can destroy FPX's bases. They're not going back. They're going to finish the game right here and right now. There's only Pepper left to defend.
He's trying to get into the mid lane, trying to clear out the minions, but Suning.
If he gets this defend, it's going to be the biggest turnaround ever.
It's going to be real tough. 4 members of Suning step forward as realization sets in, not just for my co-caster, but for FPX as well. Suning turn onto the fountain itself to get the kill at the cost of Knight's 10-3-7 Cassiopeia. They finally break down the blue team's crystal, and they take the series win over FPX.
And what a ridiculous way they tried to turn the game. Their base was burning down. They were looking at a 4v5 inside the Baron pit, and they somehow managed to win the entire fight by themselves. The left side of FPX's teamfight comp really let them down super hard. Gimgoon went in, tried to finish off Hacker, but that left their carries completely open. And you know what? Fury and Knight just walked in and finished off the fight.
Yeah.
It's
huge damage. The full crit Varus.
Yeah.
And a immensely snowballed Cassiopeia, just pumping out so much damage.
It's just such a sad thing to see from FPX because they didn't need to go in on the fight. Even if the enemy team took up Baron, you know what they could have done? They could have just locked them in there, and 2 lanes would have burned down. But they still went all in, and it's going all in isn't the bad idea at all, but the execution was definitely off.
This is where we look at the youth of the team of FPX. Some of their players might be a bit more veteran, like LWX with his 100th game. Tragically, his 100th game birthday, it will be a loss, but not one that is easily forgotten. Victory was within their grasp, but they just couldn't quite turn back against Suning.
Suning able to pull the win out of a comp that had no answers. I just find that so remarkable. Like, they couldn't really fight the team fight. You could see how hard the execution was for them. They had to pick out the Tom Kench. And then Fury does this really bad play, goes to the red buff, loses them a potential fight,
While
and
his
come
team
back
is at
and
Baron.
save the situation.
Yeah.
So it's really wild turn of events for Suning. If I was the coach, I would still have the whip waiting just back there. So you know, you don't see it, but the belt's right around the corner.
Oh man. Well, tragically, they will be crying tears of joy as they take the series win here. 39 minutes and 15 seconds. And like we said, so often we talk about Suning growing and learning as a team. Knight coming in along with Hacker and just showing some huge steps, some huge growth for the likes of the team, but still some inexperience starting to plague them with their decision-making in some of these opportunities. But more important than that, FPX also seem to be showing some of those same problems. That inexperience to, like you said, try to take the full-on 5v5 fight when there's a massive Cassiopeia and Varus in your face.
They put themselves in worst-case scenarios. To be fair, Knight had a very good miasma to cut the front line and the back line, so that was a big part of how they won the game. But there's so many other ways that FPX could have dealt with that would put themselves in a much better situation. And it's just weird. Like, I think Pepper looks a lot better in this patch.
Absolutely.
The ganks in the bot lane, getting LWX ahead early, that really worked for them. It's just the late game still needs a lot of work.
Yeah, well, that's going to be it from us. Our analysts are now ready to break down that series.
Thank you so much, guys, and we're just going to talk about the end of the game real quick, because this seems like the second time in the set where Suning Gaming were losing up until the point where they won. They just pull out the team fight at the end of the game, and it's just like, well, this seems like a victory to Epic. No, it's Suning Gaming. Suning Gaming take the win.
The craziest thing about this set is that I don't know who's more at fault for what happens in the late game. We know that Suning Gaming have been there a lot during the season already. They know what it means to have a lead, to try and close out with a lead, and we don't often get to see what they have to do when they're going from behind for most of the game and come back into a game. So this is refreshing from Suning to be able to get the victory how they did through literally just protecting Banner of Command and powered cannon minions. That's the word. It's such a tongue twister to say all of it in one sentence. Anyway, the cannon minions. They protected it. They won the game. They had one win condition. They're able to utilize it. Then a Baron fight happens. And that was honestly chaotic from FPX. May not have wanted to have played out the way that it did from them. But that is just how the cookie crumbles for them. And unfortunately for them, Suning Gaming were better on the day.
It is. Let's take a look at the cookie cutter. Let's go ahead and take a look at champion select and how this one was actually formulated from the teams and what they were looking for until we got to all the craziness. So we did see the victor in the end coming in from FPX. Now we're looking towards this pick. Has been a pick on 8.4 in other regions. Also, not a new one to the LPL. Doinby, of course, has played it.
Yeah, but I expected, and we actually had this conversation that he may even go tank. But he lost lane too early for us to even work out if that was ever going to be the case, if it was a pipe dream. The expectation, of course, with Victor being tank is that we've seen that running around in solo queue. It's entirely possible that we will still see it. But what he does, and this is the thing that gets me above all else when you're looking at him, right, is he's gone fleet footwork into a Cassiopeia. It's not a good laning phase, but with the extra move speed, perhaps the extra sustain, you'll be a bit better off against the Cassiopeia. But then he also goes for a Spell Thieves. So you can't afford to go for a fleet footwork to have extra sustain in lane, and then also go for a Spell Thieves into a losing matchup, and then also have a cleanse for the Sejuani when you're in a losing matchup. Like, oh my god, he just too many things, man.
As you can see, Rusty's very passionate.
I play mid, it gets me.
But what we can actually see is what that turns into in game, because he died over and over and over again into that mid lane against Knight in the mid lane.
Yeah, when we actually see the ganks coming across, the first and foremost thing is that he does lose in the 1v1. He does get solo killed, and that's an unfortunate thing that we see happen, but of course, that will happen when you make mistakes in laning phase, and you've gone for such a risky itemization choice and summon a spell choice. But the beauty of it, of course, is that FPX didn't just go quietly into the Knight whilst their mid laner was losing. They were constantly trading on the other sides of the map. Now, this is that first death. The flash was great from Knight. He wanted to get rid of the stun, but immediately afterwards, when you see this happen, the bottom lane starts fighting, and the aggression that you start to see from them, whilst it looks poor at the very beginning in this trade, is immediately there. Gimgoon knows he's coming down there. Shortly after this, we saw Askana go down there as well. And slowly but surely, FPX found a lead in a lane where it was winning in mid lane for Suning Gaming. FPX found themselves a win condition with a Caitlyn. They found a siege composition, and they traded back. So if we take Victor out of the equation, pretend he didn't exist because he barely did for the rest of the game, the rest of FPX made the correct move. They made the correct ideas, and they executed on it.
Exactly, and when you look at the compositions as well, you look towards that Cassiopeia, and it's like, well, okay, the Cassiopeia is fed, what does that actually do? Well, he's not actually roaming towards the bottom lane, he's not impacting the bottom that's essentially bleeding out. He's unable to really do anything in the front to back because the tanks just stand there, he sits there, and then Caitlyn's able to just constantly damage everybody on the team, so if LGBX survives, it doesn't seem like that's going to be a massive issue heading into mid-game fights.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, I thought the same thing was going to happen again here, FPX. They had a better win condition available to them. Knight not being able to roam around on the Rift was going to be a very big deal. Even if the Victor was 1-6 and the Varus was 1-6, though, you still would slightly favor the Suning Gaming composition. So you're looking at it, you're like, okay, Cassiopeia doesn't really have a job, doesn't really have a purpose. She's sitting mid lane. Victor's enjoying this. Caitlyn's about to siege and take everything down. But Suning Gaming fortunately had those countermeasures in place to be able to counteract the fact, though it started off a bit wishy-washy across the board.
Right, I mean, it was really about finding those creative engages, right? Because if you manage to shut down the Caitlyn, or you find a pig and you're able to knock down the front line, then you can get to the Caitlyn. That's what we saw right here.
Yeah, and the most important part here is that Tahm Kench just dies. Suning Gaming, they make the call with absolute confidence. It doesn't matter who they hit as long as it isn't the Scion, and they find the one target that's nice. Now, the unfortunate problem for Suning Gaming past that is that the Caitlyn never dies, and in a front-to-back type of team fight, in that type of composition, you would expect that LWX would actually be able to hard carry alongside Bing. With those two as the last left alive, that feels like the perfect scenario, but unfortunately Tahm Kench couldn't contribute to anything, and that was the difference there. And Suning Gaming did find the Hail Mary to keep them in the driver's seat.
And it was, and to be honest, the game went on for a while after that, because it was just a back and forth. It's like, can we actually lock down the Caitlyn? We saw that engage later on, that was, they pincer, and we're like, this is going to be a 5-0, no one dies. Literally no one from either team dies, because the Caitlyn's able to survive in that one, right? So the composition was definitely a problem. However, that was overcome in the end by Suning Gaming. It will actually be Knight taking our MVP in this one. So on that Cassiopeia, demolishes the mid lane, and by virtue of the team being able to fight those fights, 30.8% of the team's damage coming in here, Knight's able to run over the rest of the game.
And ultimately, Knight was doing an exceptional amount of work for Suning Gaming outside of the laning phase. In his team fights, he was actually outputting a whole host of damage, and his role in the team didn't feel very clear-cut. He wasn't just there to protect the Varus. The Varus wasn't contributing a whole host of damage early. He wasn't there to kill the backline with the Vladimir and the back end of any type of team fights as well. He was very much do as you can and see if it works out for you. And so to be able to get an MVP in a team comp like that speaks wonders towards his performance.
Sure, and luckily in this situation, it actually did work out for that Cassiopeia. Now, if you look towards FPX, we saw a lot of good from them, because as we said, it was Suning Gaming losing up until the point where they kind of won. That means a lot of the game was FPX winning, and they actually played the early games very well. It wasn't the all-in, like, balls-to-the-wall aggression that we usually see from FPX. It's actually very much a tempered style we saw out from, for the most part.
Yeah, we went to 3 games, and FPX pretty much had the lead for all of it, or at least had control for majority of the series. It's just that Suning Gaming in the end still feel like the far more refined team, especially compared to someone like FPX. So yeah, they had it early.
Yeah, big growth coming in from FPX. Good stuff to see from them, and we'll see how both these teams do evolve as the split goes on. For now, though, we are going to send it to a quick break before we come back for our final series of the day, which is Invictus Gaming versus BLG.